Hello. So we are editing some photos in Lightroom Classic. So I've already gone through and I've picked the ones that I want to work with. And I'm inviting you to join me so you can ask any questions and learn how to use the software if you're interested in learning how to use the software. Yeah, just jump into the chat and ask any questions you have. And yeah, we'll go from there. So let's have a look at what we've got. So I think I've edited a few of these, and I've gone through. I've done my first pick. So my first pick is usually going through, finding like, so for example, I think I've done 1 to 11. So if I select all of these by pressing the first one and then holding Shift and pressing 11, I'm going to press N for November on the keyboard. That will show me all of the pictures together. So this will let me see if I've got any that are quite similar. Because if you have similar photos in a exhibition or portfolio or next to each other, it will sometimes lose impact because you kind of get bored after you see the first photo repeated again and again. So I like to choose what I think is the best one from each set. And so I have done that. I think this one I plan to crop. I definitely need to do some editing on this one because it's dark. But I really like how much these vary. These three are quite similar, but the lines in this are quite wispy. And then I really like the text here. So I've kind of kept these two in, but I might end up taking one of these out. So then I can go through the rest and decide if I want to do any cropping or choose any in particular from here. So we started with 336 and we've come down to 214, which is still quite a lot. I don't usually edit that much from a shoot, but like this was a really fun shoot. I really loved this shoot. It was a cathedral light and sound show. So they were projecting light, projecting passages from books and artwork and patterns all over the cathedral, and then they were moving and they were talking at the same time, and it was really, really interesting and absolutely stunning. You can see why it was packed out. It was really, really good. And yeah, I took my photography group there. We meet up once a month anyway, so we decided to do this for our monthly meet. And I just did lots and lots of long exposures between 2 seconds and 15 seconds and got as much as I could from the scene. The kind of lights would loop around after about maybe 10-15 minutes, so I just stay for the whole loop and make sure that I was happy with each of the shots I got from each of the projections, and then yeah, just kind of went from there. So this one, lots of different colours. Red is always like a really dominant colour because it's a danger colour, so I need to turn these off, don't I? Don't need to see those. But anyway, so just ignore any pop-ups that come up. So because red is a danger colour, it's a colour that we're used to seeing on snakes or things that poison us, our eye is drawn to them, to those red colours. So if I want this picture to be more about the text and this kind of zoom here, what we could do is we could crop this out. So R on the keyboard is the shortcut key for the crop tool. So I will press that, and then I'm going to bring this in, and then I'm going to bring it over, and then I'm going to straighten a little bit so that the middle lines are straight, but then these kind of are more parallel. Because it's quite interesting how like this line and these lines are fairly symmetrical when we look at them like this. Now, this doesn't look really straight, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down in our basic edits panel to enable the profile correction. Let's just remove chromatic aberration just in case. I'm not too worried about this type of shot, but it doesn't hurt to have that ticked. And then we're going to use the transform. So this is really what we're here for. So auto, hopefully will do the job. So that usually will straighten up any verticals, any horizontal lines. It doesn't always work. You kind of just have to see what you think. And you can have a play with the other buttons and see what works for you. What do we think? kind of like auto, but now I don't really like it cropped in as much. We could crop out a little bit. We could, and then another little straighten I think is needed. It just doesn't quite feel straight. Don't know what you think looking at that. Do you think that looks straight to you? Maybe we'll have a go on the lines here. The lines, the sliders. It's really interesting how you can tweak an image by doing this. It's mad. Don't need to change the aspect. I don't need to do that either. Okay. I don't know. It just doesn't feel quite straight to me. Okay, we'll go with that. So if there is an area like so here, like obviously that's really bright, we can either just bring the highlight slider down and that'll do all the highlights, or we can mask. So I'm going to mask in this case because this bit is particularly bright and I don't want to make everything, like all the highlights, darker. I just want to make this highlight darker. So I'm just going to select it and bring that down. I still want it to be a highlight, I just don't want it to be really in your face. So I'm going to bring that down. And this side is not so bright, so I'm not so worried about that. And then we need to decide on the balance. So this is a lot darker than the sides. So if we wanted this to be more obvious, we could use a linear gradient, which is L on, no it's not, it's M on the keyboard, to drag this in. Now the effect will happen mostly up to here and then it feathers out and disappears at this point. So here we can bring the whole exposure down to darken that side and see how that draws your eye in here more. And then we can duplicate this. So we can duplicate linear gradient 1. Oh, actually not going to duplicate it. We are going to delete that and then we're going to do it again. So we're going to duplicate the mask, not the gradient. So duplicate the mask. And that should give us another mask so we can then move this around. If you just duplicate the gradient, then it stays on the same mask and you get the same effect twice, which we don't want. On the same mask, because then we can't move it. We can't move it to over here. Okay, and you can see how this starts to get darker like part way in. So we just want to do this bit here, and then we can press enter. I need to press enter twice, and that shows us what's here. Now, there's a lot of different colours going on. Like we still have the red in here, which we did get rid of a lot of. But if we wanted to help us with that, we can click on our point color here and choose a red and then have a play with our hue saturation shift. So we could try and make it a bit more like a color that's already in here, maybe like a purpley color. I think it's probably going to help. And then we could play with the saturation, the luminance. Yeah. But notice how it's doing everything, so everywhere that there's red. So there's a lot of reds in here actually, and there's some here. So I think actually bringing it down helps to bring the eye into the middle of the frame. So I'm going to leave that lower. And I'm not going to change anything else for that, but I think that works quite well and just helps lessen this. And then this kind of purpley colour, I do like it, but I think again, like it sometimes less is more, so I'm going to simplify a little bit and just bring that purple down to give us this. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this bit more central. So actually we could crop in and move over a little bit. I might come down because I quite like that you can almost read this word. Yeah, see how now this bit feels a bit more central, and like it's quite heavy on the side because there's more white there than there is on this side, which does make it feel a little bit unbalanced. But yeah, so it's interesting how that balance changes things when you crop in or crop out. I think it definitely helps to be more central with this. Okay, we'll go with that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is another radial gradient, and I'm going to pop that in the middle. And I'm going to increase the contrast, because the contrast between the black and the lettering, I think, could be improved. So actually increasing the contrast made it a lot darker, made the shadows a lot darker, but I don't want it to appear too dark. So let's see what else we can do. And I don't want it to be... It's making a lot of difference in here, which isn't the idea. I want the difference to be in the middle. Okay, so increase the exposure overall for the text, but then also increase the contrast. So that's made that a lot punchier. And we can decrease the shadow. So we brighten the text, but we bring those blacks back to darken that again, and that's going to sink that part of the picture into the image, so we feel like there's more depth in there. And then those lines that are on the side that have come from zooming, so as I've zoomed either in or out when I took the shot, that's how we get these kind of warp lines. So with a long exposure zooming in or out, and that's why you've got this kind of zoom lines here. So by having the center darker, it kind of looks like we're looking into the shot a bit more. So I don't want to make it too bright. So we'll go with that. It's a very, very unusual shot. Like, you don't see anything like this. And it's a difficult one because there aren't really any rules on how to edit a photo like this. It is very much abstract photography, so you do what you like, right? That's the beauty of this. Like, there's always somebody who jumps on a social post that I do, or a tutorial, or it's something like this, and I'm sure I probably will get some comments on this. Oh, you should have done it like this, or I do it like this because that's the best way, or why haven't you thought about this? There's always people who have an opinion. And the beautiful thing about photography is it is an art medium. You can do whatever the hell you like with it. If you want to do abstract photos, you want your photos to be out of focus, you want to focus on, I don't know, cutting people's feet off, and you can be creative. And if you're doing it because you just enjoy doing it, that is absolutely a perfect reason to be doing photography. So do take any feedback that you get with a pinch of salt. Please don't let other people's comments get you down, especially if the whole point of them giving you those comments is to make you feel bad about what you're doing. Okay? Don't let them take your energy. Enjoy your photography for what it is. It's very therapeutic for a lot of people. I love it. I think it's great. And especially abstract photography, because no one can really tell you what to do. Okay, loads going on here. I love this, like, jaggedy. My zoom is way too far because I was editing skin and hair. Let's go to 50%. So I love this jaggedy, like, lines for the chandelier. Doesn't that look cool? Do you imagine if chandelier actually looked like that? Now these lines are quite interesting as well, but because they're right on the edge of the frame, they do draw your eye over a little bit. So I'm going to crop those out. Can you hear my dog? She's sleepwalking. How cute! She's such a cutie. So 8x10 is really nice because it crops off the long edge and you still get a really nice aspect ratio for printing, and also for like putting your pictures with other pictures. 8x10 is a good aspect ratio. So whenever I've got something on the long edge that I want to crop, excuse me, I will always use 8x10 to do that. So that's really brought the picture in. It's given us brighter edges, which I'm actually okay with. We can, if we want to, use our linear gradient to lessen that brightness a little bit, because our eye does like to go to the brightest and the darkest parts of an image. And if you don't want that to be the edge of your picture, then you would tweak that slightly. Okay, and if you do this, so see like the shadows become really dark. If you don't want the shadows to be really dark, just bring the highlights down. You don't need to do the shadows as well. You can keep the shadows as they were and just bring the highlights down. Okay, and then we keep that kind of pastel-y tone to it. I really like this. I think this is really interesting, especially when you zoom in, because like I think these are headstones. That kind of looks like a skull. I think that's really interesting. And just like a random splash of red as well, like why not? So I'm going to increase the contrast a little bit, just give it a bit more punch. There's not really much point in doing sharpness or texture because nothing sharp or has much texture, it just makes the darks darker. Actually, kind of like it a little bit softer, which is random, right? It kind of looks more like a painting. But I think that one's going to be down to personal preference. I'm just going to leave it at 0 because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? We'll go with that. Our ISO is 200, so there's no noise. No need to sharpen. We can remove chromatic aberration, not worried about lens profiles. Cool, that one's pretty good to go. Right, let's see what else we could do. This one here, so this has got quite a lot of bright in it, so I'm going to bring the highlights down a little bit. See, a lot actually, because it did make a big difference. Look at that, that was what it was, and then all the way down to here. I'm not so keen on the like real vibrant yellow, so we're going to bring that down a tiny bit. I'm not going to use saturation actually because that usually does too much. I don't want to do it that much. Let's go down to like -9. That sounds like a good number. And then I'm going to crop. So I'm going to straighten and crop actually because I want this thing to be straight. And this is quite interesting, even though it's just a like a hanging thing, light thing. I don't like that it's so dark over here. This kind of looks like, excuse me, this looks like an intrusion, a bit like a surveillance camera thing. So let's have a go at an 8x10 crop again and see what that does for us. So that's actually quite cool, but I do want to get this edge in. Could have a go at taking that out later, and I want to get a bit more here in. So 8x10 doesn't really work for this one. 7x5 might. 7x5 does crop a little bit. Yeah, let's go with that, shall we? Get the clock thing in the middle quite central. And then again, we're going to use our linear gradient. So we're going to come out to these darker bits and just beyond them, I'm going to lift the shadow. So I don't want this to be so dark here. I like this kind of pastel-y thing. So lifting the shadows all the way to 100 has actually worked quite well. And we'll do the same again on this side. So M on the keyboard on its own, drag this over the dark bits and drag the shadows up. And then M again here, drag this up. Bring the shadows up down here too. And that's just lifted those areas and given us a nicer colour in here. I might just do the exposure a little bit on this edge as well. There's a lot going on in this. I'd really appreciate some opinions. Like, if you watch this, let me know. Like, would you keep all these things in? Because I feel like this is a bit distracting, and this, although it looks cool, it's quite distracting too. It's almost like we're looking at a screen, but these things are in the way. So I don't know whether to just go whole hog and just crop all of that out. Maybe do like this crop. I think that's better, isn't it? Is it? Maybe this looks like a cat with a really long neck. I do kind of like that. I'm also going to try this at 8x10 because you know we're saying about the dimensions change, so it makes it a bit fatter, like a rectangle more than a fatter rectangle. I'm not trying to rotate it. I'm trying to make the box bigger. Come on, you've got more space. Okay. Okay, yeah, and then a little bit off the bottom. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I think I prefer it without all those edge distractions. Even though we did try and darken them to make them less distracting, I think that works better. And I also think that we could square this up a bit. It would look quite cool. And then this is like completely cheating, like changing how the image was. But it's abstract. I can do what I want. Just like you can do whatever you like when you edit your photos. No, I'm not sure if that's straight on now. Doesn't feel as straight. Doesn't feel as straight here. Okay, let's go back. Vibrance. Oh, even desaturated looks cool. I'm not sure what it was before that. Oh, -9, okay. So sometimes when I've got a shot like this where there's no like general kind of guidance as to what to do with it, I will go through the presets on the left and see if any of these make me go, oh, and make me decide to choose one of these instead of the original. They kind of look a bit like oh, what do they call it? Like when you develop your photos with like sun, like cyanotypes. You know, when you put plants on a piece of paper and then you expose it to sun and you like do all your fix and developer with your paper, and then you get a cool print. I kind of like it with that pink that was just on there. Can't find it now. That one. That's pretty cool. SPO6 compared to that. Yeah, let's add a bit more pink in. Who doesn't like a bit of pink? Oh, I kind of like that one as well. That one, the lighter one. Where's it gone? That one. Yeah, that one's better. Wow, that was mad. There's so many things you could do with this, like that. I really, really like. And you can change the amount. This is cool as well. Isn't that cool? Highlights a bit much. It's completely changed it. But I do like it, but then these highlights are too much. Let's reduce these. Duplicate the mask, and then we can just drag it over to this right bit and use the same one on that side. Duplicate the mask again, and then drag it up to this bit, and maybe make that a bit bigger too. Duplicate mask again, move that over to this side. I'm also just going to do the bottom as well. Even though there's no highlight warning, it is a little bit brighter. But I'm not going to bring the highlight all the way down for that. I'm just going to make it a little bit darker. I love that. I think that's really interesting. Isn't that cool? I didn't like that anywhere near as much when I started. Let's have a look at the before and after. how much it's changed. Like, you can barely see this guy anymore. It's crazy. Oh, I really like this one. This one reminds me of like orchids or like flowers in the garden. Let's start with making this bit a bit brighter. Yeah, and then another one for this bit. So we're doing shadows first because I don't want to mess with the highlights unless I have to. Like, and you'd mess with the highlights when you do the whole exposure, as opposed to just the shadow slider. Okay, great. Oh, I really like this one. So I could increase the texture to make it feel more kind of like a book cover. That's how it feels to me. It's like a book cover, like a notepad. But I don't think I want to do it too much. And I kind of almost like it softer as well. And you see how it's like an arm and a hand and a hand and then another arm. It's not flowers, but it kind of looks like it with the zoom that we've applied when we took the shot and where it's moving itself as well. Okay. I'm going to go back there because I think I do want a little bit of texture, and I think having this bit sharp makes that more of a focal point, which I do like. So we'll go with that one, and then I'm going to have a little play of the vibrance and saturation and see what that does. I don't like it overly vibrant, but I did like the colours to begin with. $25, is that a bit much? What do we reckon? About there. Let's go with that. I'm also going to rotate it because I kind of feel like it's not as straight as it could be. Nice. We like. Let's try an auto transform. Okay, so that takes it back, which we don't want. Control and Z, Control and Z. Yes, we like this one. So where I've gone through and I've picked some of these in the past, I haven't actually edited all of these. I think I've edited this one. No, I haven't actually. I've just edited this one. See that the plus minus thing here? That means that's been edited. I haven't edited these yet. I've just picked them. So because I'm not going in a very logical manner, I'm just going, oh, I like this one. What I can do to make it obvious which ones I have actually worked on, so I'm not editing the same photos over and over again, is I can press a number on my keyboard. So 8 gives me a green color label. And to me, because this is just what I've decided, 8 is a photo that is ready to go, ready to be exported. So any of these pictures that I've edited I'm happy with, so like this one and this one and this one. We did this one as well, didn't we? I can give those a green color label and then I know that those are ready to go. I do really like this picture as well, but I think I'll have a tweak of that before I do anything else. Now this picture, looking back at it, I kind of feel like it could be a 2-in-1. So let's create a virtual copy, which creates another version of this picture. And then let's go to crop on the virtual copy. So this means that it's the copy. And we're going to rotate the crop. And then we are just going to come into this text. Maybe even more than that. And we're just going to crop on the text because I just want to see how that looks without all the kind of like stuff in between, on the sides even. I just want it to be about the text, and I might go even more. I might go, do you know what? Let's go here, or let's go here. Okay. I kind of like the idea, but I don't think it works as well. So I'm going to remove this photo and remove it from Lightroom and just keep the main one, because I'm not so keen on it on its own. Like for me, this photo is like a 5 out of 10. It's not amazing, but I kind of hope that there'd be more there when I started to edit it. So it's one of those things. So we'll just stick with it for now. This one's really cool, but I'm gonna do some more tweaking with that. So hopefully this has been useful. There's a lot to edit here, and I'll definitely come back on and go through some more of the edits with you another time. Thank you for watching, and do feel free to comment as well. And this is my first live stream to YouTube on this channel, and I'm definitely going to do more. I do a lot in my membership, so photogemic.co.uk with my members, and we have recordings of the live streams that I do on there, so you can watch back through all of the edits that we've done beforehand. There's loads of courses on there, loads of Q&As, all that sort of thing, all there, and they're all edited as well, so there's no like ums and ahs and chatting about how's your day, that sort of thing. It's all kind of like just really like good content. So yeah, I have one concurrent viewer on my stats, so thanks for viewing, one person who is viewing. I'm gonna say goodbye because it is a bedtime and I need to stop work at some point. But thanks for checking in. Let me know what you think of the pictures, or if you would have edited them differently. I really love that one. And I will, yeah, see you on the next stream to edit the other, how many? 200 photos.